Good morning. So as you can tell, I'm pretty sweaty and gross. I took Mr. Smokey out for a walk and it is so humid. Or I know people in Tucson tend to say that when people who actually live in humidity are like, it's not even humid. But for us, we're just not used to it. So it was a very sweaty walk this morning. This is day 5 of fasting, and I will have to say that I do feel a little bit tired today, but I don't know if that's from fasting or if that's from getting a workout in yesterday. Because again, every time I work out, it's like my body punishes me the next day. So being on dialysis is difficult and can be frustrating because that's typically what happens all the time. But because this is our new life, you just have to embrace it and move forward. So last night, because I didn't have Ben and I fasting, so I didn't want to cook. I had leftovers we could eat, but Donnie decided he wanted a carne asada burrito. And so that was a bit difficult, pulling up to Viva and smelling the aroma of that steak. I would say that that was probably the most difficult time of the whole fasting part. But basically it went away and I just continued to drink a lot of water. So today, again, I do feel a bit tired, but that could be because I worked out yesterday. It could be because I'm fasting. I will definitely eat that other part of the avocado so that I am not diving too deep in potassium levels, because that's one thing I have to watch. And having low potassium can do several things to you. Like, first of all, it can weaken your heart. Your body's cramping up situation, because you can get peritonitis easier. I don't know how that works and how that connects together, but I do know that if your potassium is super low, that is what happens. So I need to make sure that I have a potassium pill today as well. So other than that, things are good. You guys know that I love watching Alone, which is the TV show where they take contestants out. Usually there's like 10, maybe 12 of them. They go out into the middle of nowhere and they have to survive and outlast each other. I love shows like that, survivalist shows. I would love to do something like that, but obviously I don't know how the dialysis would work with that, because they are in like frigid weather eventually. They get dropped off usually in a fall, autumn time to get acclimated, and then they get hardcore winter. And like winter where your water freezes, so my dialysis would probably freeze, and that there's just not a way. I don't believe. So anyhow, I just watched season 9, which is on Hulu, and season 10 came out on Netflix, and so I hadn't seen season 9, so I thought, well, I'll watch that and then I'll watch season 10. But the person who won in season 9 was so focused and so determined, and he was Latino, which was pretty great, because I don't think a Latino has ever won. And his message was like, when you come from very little and you have a dream, you can still accomplish it. So it was a beautiful story, and his tactic was interesting though, because he had a really hard time getting food, and by food it was like proteins. He didn't know a lot about how to pick off the land, but he just had a struggle with getting protein. And so he got to 50 days, and then for the last 50 days, because the contest was for 100 days, or whoever could outlast each other, he decided to fast. And he's like, I can fast for at least 20 days. And he consistently and constantly and kept up on his water, because that's the factor that we have to have. And it was amazing to see his mental state stay fully intact. And he was just very positive and sure that he was going to be able to win with this tactic. So he basically fasted and then didn't really do anything except for the bare necessities. In fact, he's the only contestant who ever went without fire every night. That to me is insane. But he's like, if you have to go cut wood and you have to make a fire, that is energy and calories lost. And so that was the way he did it. And it was like brilliant and really admirable that he was able to do that and be able to be successful at it. So I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of pressure about food. Not just eating healthy food, but if you ever, when you watch TV, like we stream, so we don't have cable. And there are, like there are some channels that you can stream that don't have ads. And then there's some of those that you can stream and they'll have ads, or they're free if you just do the ads. And I'm really amazed with all the food commercials. I guess I'm more conscious of that as they are flying by the screen all the time. And it's always something typically fatty. Like I really do believe that beef is really great for us to eat. We need that red meat protein, obviously, because it just is the proper protein for our bodies. But the melted cheese and the extra bacon, I know it tastes good, but it's like just the bread, like all that stuff. Usually the cheese is not quality, honestly, guys. That the cheese is just crap cheese that's really next to plastic. And then the bread is always just really crummy breads. So there's those two things that are bad. And then, you load on, so you have your beef patty, and then you have, like, say maybe cheese, and then your bacon, and then another beef patty, and then another, and it's like, oh my gosh, this is how you get in trouble, because it looks so good, and they lure you with the delicious pictures and the meltiness and the warmth and the lovely just desire, and then before long you're like, wow, did I really just consume that? And it's, I don't know, I just feel like we're really pressured in that way. So it was just surprising to me how much food commercials actually come on. So it's really surprising to me about how many food commercials actually come on, and the languages they use to accommodate whatever your life is going through. I think, like the slogan of have it your way, the slogan of grab and go, because any mom who's working full time, taking care of kids, having a household or whatever, or maybe not, maybe you're single and you're just in a hurry, and that drive through is precious because you grab it and you go, so it's really interesting, I want to say the manipulation of food, and how much food do we really need. And I want to say about a year ago, I did something similar, a video similar to this one, about how much food should we actually be consuming, and should we be looking at serving size so much more. And I really think I got off kilter somehow. Mostly, I think, because in my head I was like, well, I'm not eating crackers, I'm not eating cookies, I'm not eating those little tasty treats, I'm not eating crap bread for the most part. I'm active as much as I can be. But I think eating late at night was certainly one thing that I just cannot do. Unless it's something pretty healthy, like a tomato or a salad, maybe something like that without a lot of heaviness. But even then, I don't know. And then how do you manipulate your metabolism? to do what it needs to do. So this is just all the things I'm up to lately, trying to figure out how to eat more correctly. Um, and I guess being an example of eating more correctly, because I'm responsible for me. I'm responsible for my own lifestyle, my own consequences, my own ability and discipline to do what I need to do. And so I think now that dialysis is so like second nature, then refocusing on food is probably another one. And going back to that mindset of rewarding my body for what I have done instead of, you know, like, oh, it's lunchtime. And sometimes I'm not hungry when I make dinner. And so I really should stay steadfast in that and not eat it. You know, I need to just refocus on redisciplining myself, I guess, which is just life. Like you get to a point and you do things really well and then you start to slip up. And so you go back to it, and that's just life. It's not a failure. It's just how life is. And as long as you're recognizing it and then getting back into the groove, I think that's where growth happens. And then one day you'll be like, oh yeah, I just don't do that anymore. And that's super growth, I guess. So anyways, it looks like I'm all done. I'll talk to you guys soon, and stay nice and cool. It looks like it might rain here today, so hopefully. All right, bye-bye.